Go ahead.
All right, I am Mayor Meg Grenier, and as it is 6 o'clock, I will call this meeting to order. For anyone outside of the village staff who is attending this video conference, I would ask if you would please identify yourselves.
Sure, Melissa Carlisle, the story.
Bill Menands.
Red Harris.
Jennifer Steinberg.
Okay. I would ask that all those please mute your microphones during the meeting. I'll now do roll call of village staff. Deputy Mayor Seth Harris.
Present.
Trustee Diane Foley.
Present.
Trustee Brian Marsh.
Present.
Trustee Tim Lane.
Present.
Clerk Don Handerhan.
Present.
Village Attorney Steve Rafus.
Present.
Treasurer Bill Smith.
Present.
Chief Ryan St. Gilles. He's there somewhere. Deputy Clerk Treasurer Nicole Ogden.
Present.
What else we have? Chief Mike Stewart.
Present.
Assistant Chief David Ogden.
Present.
Foreman Mike Hagman. Well, we know he's there. Justice Chris Flint.
Present.
Who did I miss?
Don't forget Isabel.
Intern Isabel Smearstick.
Present.
All right, did I forget anybody else? All right. On behalf of the village board, I would ask all residents that we please keep our first responders, all essential workers, and those affected by the pandemic in our thoughts and prayers. On January 14th, 2022, Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation extending virtual access to public meetings under New York State's open meetings law, which allows New Yorkers to virtually participate in local government meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic. Legislation, which was initially implemented by executive order during last year's state of emergency, allows state and local government meetings that are normally held in person to be held remotely instead, as long as the public has the ability to view or listen to the meeting, and as long as the meeting is recorded and later transcribed. The statutory change will reduce the need for congregation at public meetings while the Delta and Omicron variants are prevalent, while ensuring public business can continue. As we are conducting only essential business tonight, there will be no public comments other than on the agenda. Any comments presented prior to the meeting in writing will be read into the record. We have a little bit of change from the agenda. There's some guests from outside of the village that are here tonight. I'm going to let them do a brief presentation, 5 minutes or less for each one of them if they would. That has to do with the agenda later on, but I'd like them to give a brief update so that some can't stay for the entire meeting. First up, Todd, I think you're here, right? Todd Metcalf?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. Hi, Todd.
Hey,
Todd is with General Code. There is an item on the agenda to have General Code review our codes, and I've asked Todd to give a brief update to the board to explain what they can do, what they're offering, and then again, we will discuss it during the regular agenda, but I want him to be able to get in and out of the meeting if he could. So Todd, go ahead.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, just from a highlight, we created your municipal code. The last time it was adopted was April of 1990. You currently have 15 books around the municipality somewhere, and you also are subscribers to eCode 360, which is the digitized version of your municipal code, fully searchable and updated. Your last supplement or update you did was in June of 2021. That was through, looks like local law 2 or 3 of 2021. What has been presented and what I've supplied is the opportunity to do a recodification of your existing code. So what we're going to do is take and go through word by word, chapter by chapter, check for inaccuracies between chapters, as well as any inaccuracies that may have occurred with state law. And I have provided a proposal. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but it spells out the time frame, the cost, and everything involved in that. So again, the purpose is it hasn't had a real tune-up or oil change or whatever we want to use in 30 plus years. A lot of municipalities do that once they've adopted, they've come through, and just to make sure everything's up to snuff the way you want it, we go through and do a complete analysis, editorial analysis, provide that to you with any clarifications needed. It's a workbook and questions. Then we actually will provide you, once it's all approved, and provide you with a draft. You'll have a chance to take a look at that to make sure it's what we want the code to be in your view. And then I will provide you with an actual local law one of whatever year it is we after adoption, and you can adopt it and your code will be recodified. So that's from a 30,000-foot view. I'm happy to take any questions or clarifications on what I said, but that's where we stand right now, is the opportunity to do a complete recodification of your existing village code.
All right, and it looks like the project price is $8,630.
That's correct. And that is that is spelled out. It's broken out. It's not an overnight project, just as your original codification of your code was not either. It's broken out into payments as we hit thresholds of the project. So it's not something that will come up. It could easily go over 2 budget periods. Just to give you an idea, if you don't have the proposal in front, 20% is due at the signing of the agreement, 30 days, then 40% when we submit the editorial and legal analysis management script to you, 30% at the submission of the draft, and the balance due at the end of the project.
Right. Tim, I think your hand went up first. Did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Metcalf.
Sure.
I did read through it, and I did note that you appeared to indicate that this cost could be paid through the ARPA funds. Is that correct?
I think everybody's got questions. The majority of my municipalities are using ARPA funds for their code. I've dug into it as deeply as I can. I'm sure you may all be more clear on exactly what it is, but I do have municipalities that are using ARPA funds.
That's very helpful. We have a large, project coming up where we're going to be incorporating changes based on the new plan, and it's going to require zoning changes and so on. And would that be part of this project for us to be able to incorporate those changes?
Yeah, we suggest going as your changes occur and as new legislation is adopted, that you send that in throughout the project. And we added in. I've spelled out what I'm including in the cost of that right now. Not knowing how much additional legislation and things like that, it could be a question of additional charges at the end of the project.
Okay, that's kind of where I was going. Okay, thank you.
It's a great question. I just it's not knowing exactly what it's going to be, but that does happen quite often.
All right, Brian, did you have a question?
Yes. So the deliverable in the end is a report that basically says to and from, as far as this is what it looks like now, this is what we're suggesting a change to. Is that kind
of? That actually will happen before the end. Where you're actually your end product is going to be. He's down. Help me. What I think. 5 code books.
Okay.
Again, that should save you a little bit because you've got 15 right now. I encourage people to use the online version. You're paying for that, and it's sometimes, but I always recommend keeping one.
Excuse me, this is Renee. I'm the court reporter, and you broke up just a little bit. I encourage people to
I encourage people to keep at least one copy in the vault. And if an attorney wants a book because they've got sticky notes posted all over it or things like that, that's fine. But there's an opportunity here to drop down the number of books you'll need. And that's a cost savings going forward from the supplementation process. And encourage people to use the online eCode 360, both residents and municipal employees.
So, Todd, so that's really what the project is right now. So it's really just digitizing it. I guess my question is, why can't it just be digitized the way that it is? I guess I'm trying to figure out what's more involved than just digitizing what we have.
Yeah, so Seth, you already have a digitized code. Your municipal code is on eCode 360, and you should have a username and a login. What we're doing is this really hasn't had your code hasn't had a tune-up since we last did it for you in 1990. So it's been 30 plus years that it's really had a good going through to compare. Even though you've done a great job of updating and supplementing your new legislation, things change and state law changes. We go through and do a complete editorial analysis, provide you with the workbook of what your code, what we find your code should be to bring it up to date and current, compliant, and most importantly, enforceable. So it's more than just the digitizing. You already have a digitized version.
I assumed we did. I have my code book, but and I assumed we did. I don't have a login for that, but anyway, well, that's neither here nor there. Okay, so but I understand that about making sure that everything is aligned with state law.
You will have I lost you guys. You will have a login this evening. You'll get an email that says, congratulations, you now have access to eCode 360.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that different than what we can access on the website?
It's the same thing.
It should be the same. You should see a link on your website that says Village Code, and you click to that, it'll take you right into eCode 360.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So anybody else have any questions for Todd?
Nope.
All right, Todd, thank you very much. We'll be in touch. We appreciate you coming in.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, next we have Melissa Carlisle. I don't know, Seth, if you want to do an introduction for Melissa, if you would, a brief presentation, less than 5 minutes, if you can do it that quickly. And then again, we'll be discussing it later.
Sure. So our economic development intern, Isabel Smirstick, has been working with Story on creating an app for the village of Menands. And there were some questions and concerns brought up at the last board meeting about it. And Isabel had reached back out to Melissa to ask her to come to our board meeting, address some of those concerns, but also speak more about it, maybe with a little bit more authority as to what the app can do for our village. So I want to turn it over to Melissa to share some of that information with us.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, Story is a company based out of Rochester, New York, that works with museums and historic sites and cities and other cultural institutions all across the country, as well as globally. And I was speaking to Isabel. She was interested in learning a little bit more about our do-it-yourself platform, where you can create self-guided tours for your visitors as well as your residents. So when they're in the village, they could perhaps take a historic tour and learn more information about historic buildings, historic sites, perhaps any kind of public art, parks. You can really put an awful lot of information in a tour app because it's very flexible, where you own all of your own content. You can build multiple tours inside an app, and visitors would access the app through their own mobile device, smartphone. We can also make it, if you would like, if you feel that you have people who would prefer to perhaps dial into a local phone number, they could also dial in and be prompted to go from one point of interest to another and just listen to the audio. But mainly with the actual app itself, you're able to share images, video, text descriptions to make the app accessible for the hearing and visually impaired. You could even make it with social stories for those on the autism spectrum. You could include second or third languages if you like. We support over 27 different languages. You can have mapping. So you can map out your tours, put the points of interest on the map. You can use geo alerts that would trigger content for all those sites that you have. You could put in scavenger hunts for families to do, and it's just a fun thing to have for your residents and your visitors to have a self-guided tour and to learn about the community.
All right, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Melissa while she's still here?
And we can, I don't actually have any questions for Melissa, but I just want to say we can also discuss the app more and our investment in it as a village later on when Isabel has her presentation. But yeah, if people had any questions about what Story can do and the app itself, that's Melissa's the one to answer those questions.
Right.
Okay.
No questions?
No.
Okay.
All right. So thank you, Melissa, for coming in. We appreciate it.
Okay, you're most welcome. Take care.
You too.
Yes, thank you. Have a good night.
You bet.
All right. And one final is we will be discussing tonight the OWL. Seth has invited Brett to join us tonight. She is familiar with it. She's just going to give us a brief overview. And then again, we'll get into it at later on in the agenda. Hi, Brett.
Hi, Meg. Thank you for inviting me to the meeting to talk specifically about this. The OWL is a video conferencing tool that, aptly named the OWL. Its head spins around all the way 360 degrees so it can capture people's faces. So essentially, the idea is that we're so used now to these virtual meetings where you can see everyone right up front. When you go back to these hybrid meetings, you're going to have a group of people sitting at a table very far back. You're not going to be able to see and zoom in on people who are talking. So the OWL works in that it actually can capture, has this voice recognition for the person who's talking. It zooms in on that person. And then if someone else starts talking, it moves, its head over to look at that person, and that person comes up close on the screen. So it's I guess the best equivalent to what we have now with people kind of right up front and center on their tiles. To make it possible to continue when meetings are in person, to have the same feel if you're going to be having hybrid meetings. There are other, I guess, video conferencing, systems out there. I think this one worked really well. I don't have experience with all these different ones. This one I would definitely give thumbs up to. When I used it, we were doing we had offices all over the state. Some people were coming in by themselves, so they just had the camera up on them. Other people were coming in a conference room with people. So it worked out really well for that purpose, for us to kind of bring a team that's spread geographically across the state together as one. So I thought it was pretty effective, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions about it.
Brett, if I can ask one, do you know, can it record the audio to a file so that it can then be used and posted?
I don't think you would need to do that because you have to still come through, through Google Meet. So you would record through Google Meet.
Okay. So the video file. Okay, I got it. That was a dumb question. Sorry.
Any other questions for Brett?
So yeah, to clarify for the general public, that's we would still be able to use the Google Meet software that we have. That would just integrate the boardroom into that.
Right. So be able to do the hybrid meetings where we're present, but the public can still view from their homes.
Yes, and participate from home. That's the main thing. The alternative would be just live streaming it through YouTube, but then someone who is at home for any number of reasons wouldn't have the opportunity to participate in a possible public hearing or open forum once we're in person.
Okay. Tim, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, just a quick one. Yeah. The website seemed to indicate there were several other formats that it was usable through if the people had Zoom. Could you indicate what the other formats were that they could access it by?
Any video conferencing system would work, like any equivalent to Google Meet, like Zoom or Teams. All of those things would work.
Could you be more specific? I mean, does it have to be a Google related? I mean,
oh no, yeah. So Zoom, Zoom is separate from Google, and then Microsoft Teams is also a different platform. Essentially, what it is it hooks into through like a USB port into whatever computer you're using in your physical location, and it's like a video camera. So it captures. So instead of like if I'm sitting home as like a resident wanting to join in this conversation, rather than being zoomed way back and seeing like from far away everyone sitting at the table and you can't even tell who's talking, this creates a much better experience because again you'll be able to see it zoomed in on the person who's talking while you're kind of all sitting at the table. So it's really it's the video that then hooks into the computer of whoever's hosting the meeting via Google Meet, via Microsoft Teams, via Zoom, any other system like that.
okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right, Brett, thank you very much for coming in and having that firsthand knowledge has been helpful. We're going to continue on with the regular board meeting now, but thank you again for coming in. All right, we need a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of February 7th.
Pardon me.
Second, Seth.
All in favor?
Who moved? Who was the first?
Brian did,
Okay,
and Seth seconded it.
thank
All
you.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Don, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, warrant number 18, general, $95,436.30. Water, $45,246.51. Excuse me. Sewer, $9,507.50, totaling $150,190.31. Payroll number 19, $91,749.71.
So moved, Brian.
Second, Tim.
We have several transfers.
You're muted, Meg.
All right, did you hear me say all in favor?
No.
All right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have a whole list of transfers here, so.
Court miscellaneous to court printing and books, $400. Miscellaneous equipment, $3,000. To clerk computer and software, $2,500. Clerk legal notice, $500. Police insurance, $1,125. To unallocated insurance, $1,125. Police telecommunicator full-time, $2,000. To DWI patrol, $500. Telecommunicator overtime, $1,500. Lieutenant, $5,500. To equipment miscellaneous, $1,500. Police maintenance, $4,000. Fire equipment miscellaneous, $3,000. Fire insurance, $1,250. Fire vehicle maintenance, $1,750. From the contingency account, building repairs, $12,000. Street, gas and oil, $5,500. Economic development, personnel services, $3,500. Refuge, gas and oil, $2,000. Compensated absences, $9,000. From the water fund, purchase of water, $35,000. To light, power, and gas, $35,000. Vehicle maintenance, $1,000. To building maintenance, $1,000. From the contingency account, $15,000. To outside contractors, $15,000. And those are your
Sewer
transfers.
fund.
Oh, the sewer fund, I'm sorry.
So moved,
And that's the
Brian.
transfers.
Second, Seth.
Right, who
That's
made the
the
motion?
second.
Oh,
All
Brian.
right, Brian and Seth, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have to approve a correct water sewer bill for 3 Oakland. Nicole, you want to go on that one?
Sure. Let's see here. So it was discovered there was a digit error with importing the reading, resulting in incorrect usage. It also was discovered there were no sewer service charges on either of their accounts since 2017 when the new building was constructed. So let's see. Whereas water and sewer account 51-1065-0 for Oakland Avenue, 3 Oakland Avenue Low, water and sewer charges were based on incorrect usage. Now, therefore, be it resolved that a total of $21,264.59 be deducted from water and will be adjusted off the 3 Oakland Avenue's current bill. And be it further resolved that a total of $1,266.89 of sewer charges will be added to 3 Oakland Avenue's current bill. Whereas water and sewer account 51-484-0 for 3 Oakland Avenue High, water and sewer charges were based on incorrect usage. Now, therefore, be it resolved that a total of $172.07 in water charges will be added to 3 Oakland Avenue's current bill. And be it further resolved that a total of $198.86 of sewer charges will be added to 3 Oakland Avenue's current bill.
Could
So
you just
moved,
give
Seth.
a little bit of how this all played out, just so people understand?
Okay, yeah, sorry. So basically what happened was they have a compound meter there, and in the whole importing into the system, the 5/8 meter I put in for a 5-digit, and then the 3-inch meter I put the 4-digit. So basically I had the digits flipped for the calculation. So it calculated the consumption incorrectly, which kind of threw off their bill, which is why now it needs to just be adjusted and corrected. And we also pick up the sewer charges because that was never part of the bill during the research phase.
So Nicole, the sewer charge, was that calculated on the correct water charge, being that it would be what, 45% of the
Yes,
of the correct water bill?
correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they put a grinder pump in when they built a new building. And it never came to the office that they had sewer charges because they used to have a septic tank. And then when we discovered that, we got to add sewer charges now.
So moved. Brian.
Second, Tim?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, Nicole, thanks for your work on that. I think we've been very fortunate with the number of meters that we have, that since we switched over to the new program, there's only been minimal 2-3 things that had to be adjusted. So I'd say that we've
Yeah.
been successful.
Thanks. There's a lot of work.
Yep. Well, thank you for that. All right, up next is a budget request from the department heads.
I got one thing.
Okay,
the Treasury Department of the United States came out with what they call their final rule for ARPA. And what it does is they added a standard allowance of up to $10 million in aggregate as an option to using the formula to calculate your lost revenues. So basically what that says is you don't have to calculate up to $10 million. If you get less than $10 million, it's all lost funds according to them. So I polled a few people in my group, and some of them just mention it in their minutes. Others are going to do a resolution to go to the standard allowance. I would like us to go to the standard allowance. There's also a lot less reporting requirements and calculations. And I mean, you got to calculate a 3-year average, and then each year, and you got a percentage that you can use to calculate and see if you lost revenue and stuff. This way here, we'll just take all our ARPA money as lost revenue. And I think that's the best way. Then we can use it for just about anything. I mean, you still can't use it to pay retirement or pay off debt or stuff, but most of the other things we could use it for. Just whatever a government standard, whatever you can use for your government funds, you can use for this. I hate, I missed the original presentation on this by Nikon, but I got a copy of it, and it works to our advantage.
So Bill, this is because, so any municipality that received less than $10 million in ARPA funds, this lessens the amount of reporting we have to do in order to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have to report every year, but you don't have as many changes. Like, it simplifies your reporting requirements. Your general revenue can now include all utilities. It can be used to fund any service traditionally provided by a government. If not, then you got to go to their default growth rate, which is now 5.2%. But hell, why only take 5.2 when you can take all we get?
Right.
So,
Yeah, if you receive less than $1 million, which we did, quite a bit less, you don't have to do a written justification of the spending. It's any government purpose.
Yeah.
So it's definitely in favor for the smaller municipalities that didn't get nearly the number that the bigger ones did.
Who especially don't have the type of staff to do all this accounting calculations.
Oh, no. I mean, it's, in the old interim report, they had all these rules. It was like, I forget how many pages, 200 and some pages of rules and definitions and stuff you had to read through, and their final one come out, and I think they had a lot of questions and comments on their interim one, and that's when they decided to change things and make it a standard deduction for the small ones. I mean, it's not only us, there's a ton of us across the country.
So Bill, what are you looking for? Just a motion to go with the standard deduction?
Motion to take a standard allowance for calculating lost revenue with the implementation of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds.
Brian.
Need a second?
Second, Diane.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thanks, Bill.
Okay.
So we're back to the department heads.
Yep. Chris is up first.
All right. I assume everybody has the budget. in front of
Yeah.
them, the proposed budget. So I don't have any problem with it as, as it appears before you. I think it's good. I think it's realistic. The most notable change I would note is for the clerk of the court, for the new hire that we're proposing for the deputy court position. So that's the most notable increase, I think. Aside from that, I think it's pretty standard. And I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone has. I would ask that it be approved.
Well, that'll come a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Chris, as long as you're on here, do you want to move on to the appointment of the deputy court clerk?
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah. So I advertised, or we advertised a deputy court clerk position on Indeed. And that was after a week or so, and the Times Union having gotten, I think, 1 or 2 responses. That generated 233 responses, Indeed, and an equal number of resumes. And so I spent, honestly, quite a bit of time going through all of them. Now, some of them I didn't spend as much time as others because they were, sort of rejections on Indeed. If anybody's familiar with that platform, I guess is the word. You can. There's 3 categories: rejected, interested, which means sort of a question mark, and yes. And so I had, it was 168 rejected people. Then I had 68 interested, among which were 20 I indicated as yes. And I really screened those folks, and I spoke with most, if not all of them, by phone, and I narrowed it down to about 3 or 4 candidates. And I had lengthy discussions with them and attempted to set up, I set up some interviews, and then the snowstorm happened, or the ice storm, and that sort of, we had to postpone some of the interviews. And there was one standout candidate the whole time for me was Jennifer Brow. And I was interested in meeting Jennifer. Jennifer had been an HR person at Rensselaer Honda and wore a lot of hats over there: accounting, HR, and office work, and so forth. Had worked there quite a number of years. Had to leave because of a health issue, and because of was not able to return. I think because of the health issue as well. But before that, she worked at a bank. She was a bank supervisor for several years. And I really liked her qualifications with respect to being able to handle money, understanding the level of accuracy required in counting the money and handling the money. We interviewed her, Bob Bescher, Meg, and Susan was in on the interview as well, because, quite honestly, if let's just say Susan is in the latter stages of her career, I'm thinking sort of down the road as to someone who might be able to take the reins. And I felt Jennifer really was a standout candidate. And as it turned out, she is the only one who interviewed. I had set up some interviews and asked for confirmations, and the 2 other candidates who weren't as good didn't confirm. And I was a little surprised by that, but that's okay, because I think we all, at the end of the interview with Jennifer, were pretty impressed by her. And I just think she's got a lot of experience, and I think she's got good personal skills. She's got good professionalism. Again, I think she can be a good steward of the court's money, and the village's money. And so I thought she had a really good presentation. So we offered her the job conditionally upon the board's approval. So And I think Meg was in favor of that as well.
Yeah, she definitely presented herself. Very good first impression. We all felt that way. Feel she'll be a good fit. It's the mayor's appointment with the consent of the justice. We both are in agreement on that. So right now we're just at the board looking to approve Jennifer Brow for the position of deputy court clerk.
I'll move to approve Jennifer Brow as the deputy court clerk.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Chris, and good luck. And I hope she has a great tenure with the village.
Yeah, thank you. I do as well. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, who's up next, Bill?
Donald. Donald.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. My requests are just a few things. We want to upgrade the computers for Bill, Nicole, and Cheryl at a cost of $2,571.36. I also would like to get 2 laptops to use in case due to COVID or some extreme circumstances where people have to work from home, so they have a computer that will be able to log into our system. And I also want to replace our folding machine with a folding machine that also inserts letters right into the envelopes. Right now, we have the activities that goes out twice a month. The tax bill and the water bills go out, and it takes well over a day just to stuff the envelopes. And for $5,000, we can get a machine that will fold, insert, and put it right into the envelope. So it would save a lot of time and energy on that. The other thing is for buildings is we approved to do it last year, but I was unable to get any masons to do anything. So I want to put in the budget to replace or to repair the brickwork on the police department by the chimney. And also I'd like to replace the light fixtures in the village office from the fluorescent lights to LED lights at a cost of $4,000. My other budget items are basically the same as they were last year.
Don, in your clerk budget, there's 25,000 for negotiator. What is that?
There's the DPW and the police are going to be start their thing at the end of next year. It'll be in this year's budget.
Anybody got any questions for Don? No. All right, Bill, looks like
Don, sorry, Don, real quick. Have you decided on the kind of computers that you want to get?
It's basically going to replacing the same thing we have with the newer versions, what we have.
So they're Windows operating systems?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
And the only thing that's going to be different is that instead of buying the license for the office, it's going to be a yearly subscription, so that it's always, we have to keep, it'll update automatically.
Okay. Yeah, and I support that. Brett uses that for work. Is there anything that can be, in your mind, anything that can be rolled over and used with Google?
The problem is Google, none of the other department or the other agencies we do, they all use a window base. So Google, it wouldn't be practical for businesses. It's good for a school because you're all combined into one area, but because for us, dealing with different agencies and stuff, they all use everything is Microsoft based.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Thank you.
All right, I'll do buildings. It's what I got a thing from Paul about our salt shed. Basically, where the hell did I put it? His note says, need for such a facility has been pointed out in DEC MS4 audits in 12 and 19, and it may become more of an issue under the new MS4 permit, which will be issued in late April or early May. He gave us copies of water release and some descriptions of everything. The only, and I figured I added 20% because these were old. So I put $4,000 to $5,000 in the equipment fund, equipment of the buildings for that. Plus, the police want new windows on the north side that are bulletproof. Right now they got boards over the top of them, so you can't see in on the north side of the building because it's only regular glass. And they put the bulletproof in the front. They just want to move it around to the side. And then gets a new camera system. So all of that is under the O200. And then I put the office light and the repairs to the brickwork under 414, which is equipment repairs. Everything else kind of stayed the same. I upped building maintenance a little bit. Contracted services I went up because everybody's prices are going up. So that's the quick take on the building department budget. So next would be Ryan. Wherever he is.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So I went through it and I pointed out like 5 or 6 things. Obviously, police overtime. We want to do more training, which is obviously going to cause more overtime. So I added about 5,000 to overtime, which also I added more money to training because if you're going to do more training, obviously you're going to have more overtime. The DWI patrol, I increased it to 7,000, but a portion of that is reimbursed. And I'd like to do a couple more on the weekends that don't have holidays. I don't know, Bill, we just got a check for like $3,000 the other day. So I know money kind of trickles in throughout the year from Stop DWI for that, but this is kind of, on the budget, it says 5,300. So to add a couple more thousand to that, to do a couple more weekends of DWI patrol.
Yeah, and the DWI patrol, that is basically, that 5,000 is the salary for the guys.
Right.
When they're out there. Like if they do 5 hours, it's normally overtime. So it's 5 hours of overtime for them, and that goes into that account. The money we get from the county goes into the revenue side.
And court overtime, the last 2 years, our court overtime was not much. I don't know if that's a direct relation to bail reform, but we had it for 12,000 and I decreased it by 50% because last year we were still only at 3,100. So, and the year before that, it was low, but I think in 18, it was crazy. I don't know why, but the last 2 years have been low. And I don't know if it's COVID or bail reform, but even now we don't see a lot of people going down to the county building for court.
Yeah, this is our guys going to testify. The court officer for our officers, when they go to our court to monitor what's going on up there, that's under the court budget. This is just our guys going down to testify on a case.
Well,
And
the last 2 years, definitely because of COVID, the courts were on limited schedules.
right.
I mean, I suppose we could always transfer money in if we had to, but at some point the courts are going to open back up. I don't know when that will be. They're not open up fully yet, but
The thing
something
is, the trend we're kind of seeing is there's a lot less trials going on. You know, there's a lot more pleas that they're doing. So really, we're not getting a lot of court overtime anymore. But, you know, I guess we'd have to see it. It's kind of a tough 2 years because you're dealing with COVID. So, you know, you don't really know how to gauge it. But I think if we decreased it and saw where we were next year, we'd probably get a good idea since things are kind of getting back. Let's see, Bill, you said you take care of computer and software.
Right, that is basically, you know, if they get computer stuff done, and it's also their annual fees for whatever systems they got over there. And anytime they have problems with the cars or something and they call in ABS, we get charged for that. But so I kind of split that between us and the police department because we do some of the annual fees too for like the file servers and stuff like that we have. So I kind of split that between the two of us. So I raised it a little bit, but or I had sorry, I had Ryan raise it a little bit.
And our vehicle maintenance, I just added a little bit more money to it. That's another hard one to try to figure out because the two vehicles that we have they were not really the greatest of police vehicles. And I'm talking about the Dodge Durangos. They have since fixed a lot of the problems that they didn't do recalls for. So it was kind of on us to fix. So our maintenance cost on the two Dodge Durangos that we got were really kind of astronomical. But the new one we have, and we'll obviously be getting another new one, is it's been really good. We haven't had very many maintenance costs at all. And other than that, I don't know if you have the biometric fingerprint machine that we have.
Yeah, that's under 0208.
That we got the grant
equipment. We got a grant for $13,554.75 for that biometric machine. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know what the grant was, whether for the whole thing or.
No, the grant was for $13,554. We have to come up with the $6,329.
Yeah. So what I did was under equipment, I put wherever we are. I put that in there, and there's some miscellaneous stuff in there. You know, if they get vests or things like that, they have to get. You know, so I'll be taking another look at all these numbers over the next week. Believe me.
And the two radios that I put in for
radios in there.
Actually, we can take that out because I was able to get two radios, brand new radios from Albany County. For about $7,000. So I just got them the other day. So
good job.
Yeah, that doesn't so that's not going to affect the budget at all.
Very good.
And body cameras, I still haven't gotten a quote back from Axon on the body cameras. And the only other thing that Bill didn't talk about was just an additional Dell computer like the one I have in my office. So when I finally get someone in here to take over the Discovery, they can start using a computer like mine, and I'll just be their backup instead of trying to do it all right now. And that's it.
All right, any questions for Ryan? Chief St. Galais? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Michael
Which one?
Stewart.
Oh, come on.
Oh, now you know how to work the computer there, Hags?
No, that's Michelle. Yeah, I know. I used to get called that when I was a kid.
I won't comment on that for you. I have Dave Ogden here as well. It is I'm stepping down as chief effective April 30th. It is everyone's expectation that David will be the chief beginning May 1st. So he and I have worked through the transition so far pretty well together, and I got David involved in the budget from the very beginning. We came up with this stuff together just to make it easier for him to hit the ground running. Not a lot of changes from what we requested last year. Some of the things that we haven't spent money on, recruitment and retention, it's the same as the year before with COVID. 2 years ago, I came in and asked, we upped the recruitment and retention, I think from like 2,000 to 4,000, and then COVID hit and we haven't done a whole lot. The only other ones that have really changed, there was a spike in this past year in vehicle maintenance. Rescue 6 is getting older. We'll talk about that in a second, but some of that was due to our the Chiefs car that we just replaced now as well. So we now have the car that is car 38 at the moment is now 6 years old. It's the oldest of the Chiefs cars, and that'll be in rotation to go out in 3 more years. So far, the expenditures on those cars for repairs has been minimal. So that program is working pretty well for us. The only other, miscellaneous, the biggest question mark we have there is that is where the software program Firehouse that we use to log and track all of our incidents, training, personnel, pretty much the backbone of our department, is being phased out at the end of this year. David can speak to it more, but they still have not gotten us pricing on what the new program, it's called the ESO, what that will be. My guess is it will be in the neighborhood of what Firehouse is. I can't imagine they're going to phase out an old program and bring in a new program that's going to be much more expensive. So I think we can keep that straight lined as well. And then lastly, on the equipment, we're requesting $40,000 again. We're looking to spend, one second. We're looking to spend $13,126 and allocate that to a new airbag system. When we upgraded the struts last year, when we upgraded the air packs 2 years ago, our current airbag system does not work with the new bottles and air tanks that we have. So we need to upgrade that. That will also bring us back in line with the goal of being using the same equipment as our mutual aid companies and being interchangeable. We're looking to spend $13,302.63 on 3 sets of turnout gear. We've done this every year. It helps us just turn over the lifespan of the personal protective equipment the firefighters are wearing. And then the last one we're looking about hoping to do is a trailer for $6,000. David can speak more about the trailer specifically in a moment. One of the issues we're having next door, and I have the feeling it's almost every apartment, is we're running out of space. Our hope is to get a trailer that we can put all of our pump out equipment in, store a lot of hose in, and maybe some other items. But right now we're underneath the stairs. I don't know when the last time anybody was over, but the stairs, the back stairwell on the south side of the building, we've tried to clean up under there, but we just don't have room, and we still have stuff out there. And then everywhere on the truck floor is taken up as well. Not included in the budget. Sorry.
Where would you place the trailer? Where would it be?
So I can speak for this, Mike, if you want. So I've kind of looked online. There's a place in Scotticoke that sells trailers. We've looked at one that's roughly $5,200, and it's a 7x16 tandem axle. It'll actually fit directly behind the Squad that we have, which is the white oversized pickup truck with the utility body. It'll fit directly behind that with still space for everyone to walk around to get to gear, to get to the side door if you have to throw anything out or anything like that. So with us only having the two fire apparatus, the truck and the rescue, we have the third bay that has the Squad in it now, where that'll fit right behind it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, items that are not included in the budget are the money we set aside every year for the purchase of a new Chiefs car 3 years from now. I've said it every year. David and I spent a lot of time when we were going through this budget. I think this department in the village has been very successful over the last couple of years, putting out a financial plan and trying to replace things on a lifespan that is predictable. So it's not just things that whenever they break. We've been able to replace, a lot of stuff, everywhere from thermal engine cameras to gas meters to turnout gear to air packs to radios to the Chiefs cars. We've really done, in my opinion, a good job working together for the last 5 or 6 years, trying to get this plan in place. I think the Chiefs cars alone are showing that the plan's working. The repair costs are less. I've said it every year and I'm going to say it again. 2025, we need to replace the rescue truck. 2025 will be 10 years after the ladder truck was replaced. The rescue truck itself will be 26 years old. That could put us on a lifespan of replacing one of the two pieces of major apparatus every 10 years. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll let David jump in on some of the other stuff here, is I think the village needs to start to look to doing something with the firehouse in general. I don't foresee how we're going to be in that space 10 years from now. I'm not saying it's, something needs to be addressed this year or next year, but at some point we are going to outgrow that place. The trucks themselves are getting bigger and bigger every year. And the last ladder truck we purchased it because it was one of the only ones that would fit in there. So I just want to say that out loud. So it is my suggestion that the board starts to figure out a plan for the fire department and where it's going to be housed, because I don't see it fitting in its current space 10 years from now. It's all you, Dave.
Yeah. So I think when Mike mentioned the equipment budget and everything else that's in there, everything that we really have control over, supplies, Bill takes care of the insurance, the light and power and gas, and we're not really asking for anything too crazy this year. After the roughly $26,000 for the airbag and the turnout gear, we would like to, if we can find the right trailers, that's something like that. There's also some more pump out equipment. We just had this incident over on Glenwood where we needed pretty much every pump we could find for stuff like that. Just makes it easier. We'd like to look into potentially, we do have members of this department that are qualified as ice rescue technicians. While there are no true major bodies of water in the village, you do have the pond out in front of 1 Broadway. We are the adjoining district to Little's Lake. There is the pond, the retention pond that's in the Sage Estates. So there's some smaller bodies of water. There's the pond in the cemetery, which is a mutual aid district as well. We'd like to look into potentially purchasing Mustang suits, which is the ice water rescue suits that keep the fire personnel safe and dry and warm. Those are roughly $1,471.99. And then some throw bags, which we would keep in Chiefs cars and fire trucks. Those are $90.99 a piece. That's your initial throw, go, and row is what the term is for rescuing people like that. So that's your initial rescue technique. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much as it is on the budget that we've marked.
Anybody have any questions for Mike or Dave? All right, guys, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, building inspector, there was really no changes. I just, I'm gonna swap some numbers around between equipment and contractual expense. Lyle, I think, is looking for a new computer or a new laptop, whatever it is. So I'm gonna take some money out of contractual and put it back up in equipment, but it won't change the overall view. And Mike, you're next. Michael.
You're up, Michelle.
I'm
Michelle,
coming.
you're
I'm-
up. I didn't see the Michelle in there.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about any of the stuff, the regular line items that Bill works on for me, because a lot of it is year to year. Not so much equipment, just more supplies that we need or building stuff. And I also want to say I appreciate all the support we've always gotten from you, Mayor, and the board. We've always had what we need to get the job done, and I hope that shows through myself and the department. I'm not really looking for a lot. Bill did put $90,000 in the budget for a new truck. I'm not really sure what we would even be able to get, whether it be a pickup truck or a 1-ton dump truck. Either way, that would be replacing a 14-year-old truck with, I want to say it's 110,000 miles on it, something like that. Piece of equipment that gets used every day, every season by the whole department. So, that is going to wear out sooner or later, and it's on its way. Again, I don't know at this time what we would even be able to get, not for the money, but just what would be available at all, because there's no trucks out there. So I don't know how long that would take, or if we'd even be able to get one in a timely manner. And 90,000 is really just a number that was thrown out there. That's probably more on the higher side for a 1-ton dump truck. Obviously, a pickup truck would be less, not much. Prices are going up every year. So I'd have to get a more definitive number on that, depending on what we could get, like I said. And the only other thing I was really asking for is a smaller salter for a pickup truck. I think that would help us when we need to spot salt after a storm, get in some parking lots, village office, behind the firehouse, after a storm, just so we don't have to run the big trucks up and down the streets. And as far as equipment, that's really all I'm asking for. We're in pretty good shape otherwise. And I don't know if anyone has any questions or wants to talk more about that salt shed, or if that's for another time. But if you have any questions on that, I can answer what I can answer.
Bill, is the salt shed coming, is that part of Mike's budget, or is that out of the general buildings budget?
I put it in the general buildings budget. I didn't figure it would go into Mike's budget. My biggest problem is where you're gonna put it. Because you got wetlands and the old canal, and it's just.
Was there a specific time requirement for their order, or was it an order, or was it?
No, it wasn't an order. It was in their report.
Yeah, it doesn't appear there's any definitive dates on that, as far as any fines or anything like that, but there is recommendations.
But we'll know, I think August, we get another report from them. So
Now, the pictures that they sent from the coalition, not from Paul, was putting it where the one is presently, which we had some questions about that we'll have to verify, but I wasn't sure that we could do that, but they put them right in the same spot, the pictures that they gave us.
See, that's with some of their narrative and the pictures. In my mind, I think we need to wait and get more verification on that, because they don't match up to me.
Yep.
Yeah. And the only other thought I had was we made temporary parking lot, or a parking lot on the north side of the garage. You could put it there and then move that parking lot down to the old ice rink, because underneath the ice rink, like Mike said, there's sanitary sewer lines that go to the county, so you can't put anything permanent on there, but you could make it a parking lot, I would think. But, you know, whatever you do, it's got to be a non-porous surface, I would think, right, Mike?
Again, that's where some of my questions come with putting it in the same spot as the other one and taking it down. Yeah, there seems to be question with the, you know, a gravel parking lot as opposed to an asphalt parking lot around the salt shed for cleanup, for runoff, all that kind of things. Again, I don't think this report clarifies it enough to make that decision.
Yeah, we can work on that, you know, with Eric and whatever to, you know, get some more information about what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? Anything else for Mike?
That's on streets.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I said.
I guess you're not done.
That Salter that I was looking for is $5,500.
Yeah, I put that in the equipment.
And Mike, can that fit in most of our pickups?
It would fit in any pickups and the small dump truck or the mid-sized dump truck we do have now. Just wouldn't go in the big trucks. Okay. So it is interchangeable, and I believe I'm not sure if this is this price. I believe the controls are Bluetooth now, so you wouldn't have to wire each truck to make them interchangeable. So,
who's going to do that, Mike?
Yeah, not me.
All right. Well, that sounds good. All right. What else you got there?
CHIPS money, 90,000 this year, keeping our fingers crossed. That's what they said last year. We'll see. The garage really didn't change anything in there too much. Telephone went up. That was about it.
Oh, Bill, can I just interject here? Meg, I know we've been talking about the park and the backstop fences, and we do have one quote for that.
That's
Roughly
in the
30 to, yep, 30 to, oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to wait till we get there, Bill?
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'm sorry.
But the garage, you know, I raised the telephone because it keeps going up. And safety, there was no changes. That's OSHA required clothing, drug testing for the police and the DPW. Firehouse has their own drug testing line item. Salt is salt. Mike and I talked it over. We didn't change anything really. Insurance went up a little bit, but other than that, we kept everything the same because you don't know what's going to happen. That's up to the weatherman, and he's wrong most of the time. In the parks, yeah, we did put 30,000 or whatever it was into miscellaneous. That was for the backstop.
And so somebody else did call me back. I'm meeting with Bruce Fence tomorrow to get another quote on that. So we'll get one more opinion on that, on that cost.
And we also put in for what, 5 more tables, I think?
Yep. I think 6 more, 2,500.
6 more tables.
Yep.
To replace some of the old ones.
And I don't know if anyone has noticed the new tables we got last year, the new style. They're a steel frame, still wood top, excuse me, wooden top and wooden benches, but they seem to be much more durable, and they're kind of a slide through style. So there's no bar, so it is a lot easier for some of the older folks to get in there, or it's just an easier table to access in general. I really like them, actually.
And they should last a lot longer anyway.
I think so.
Yeah. It's the part that is in contact with the ground that often goes or makes them wobble.
Correct.
Mike, we had talked maybe in the summer when they were moving the tables, they had a cart from the Bouncy Bounce guy, I think, and we were talking about how much easier it was to move those tables. We said maybe that's something you guys should look into. I just remember that right now as we were talking about the tables.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever looked at prices. I don't think you guys felt it was going to be a lot, but it might be something to consider.
No, that's a good point. Yes. I can revisit
Tim,
that.
Yeah.
what did you want?
Yeah. Are we planning on getting back to reissuing the RFP for the repaving of the basketball court?
Yes, the bids are going out this week.
Okay. Excellent. Now, are they going to be, where do they get posted? They get in the contract reporter?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Do they go into the contract reporter or just into how are they?
In the Times Union? What else, Don?
The Times Union and Chazen has, I think they go through the reporter and they go through a couple other agencies that they use.
Okay. So they do that whole part for us? That's
yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Get the legal notice is already out for the bids.
Okay, and then refuse, there's, I lowered the landfill charges a little bit because the price we had to pay for recyclables went down again, way down. Other than that, nothing really changed in there. A little bit higher in insurance, but we won't know that until the insurance policies come in, but that's what I did. I raised all the insurances a little bit.
The cost for recycling went down?
Yeah, well, we got a $300 and some refund for November, December, or October, November, I can't remember which two. And now, it's back down to like $200 a month versus there for a while, it was over $1,000. I don't know why, whether they found a place to sell it or whatever, but they lowered our prices.
Was it the per ton price went down, or
Yeah.
we were just, oh, okay.
Per ton price went down.
I'm not complaining about that. I didn't know if people
Neither
were
am
just recycling less.
All I know is it went down.
Yeah.
And then the last two things are the water fund and the sewer fund. Water fund, I took a quick glance at, not much changed in there, except chlorine. I got a letter from Surpass Chemical. They're going up 9%.
I'm assuming that's all in trucking as well.
I'm sure it's for trucking too, but the letter said, come necessary to change the prices following, and it's the current price for sodium hydrochloride is $2.89. It's going up to went up to $3.14 in January, and I'm sure most of it's due to trucking.
Sure.
And the sewer fund, there was no changes really, at least for this meeting. I will start in earnest tomorrow morning and looking at each line item. I've looked at them. I've looked at a lot of them so far, but I'm going to look at some more.
And then we're still working on the proposals for the meters to come up with the best.
Right. We're still working on that.
Best financing options.
They got to deal with their outfit. And I know when we bond it, depending on how much we bond, how much we pay, and it's going to be somewhere around 25 to 30,000 over the cost of the bond. It's for the bond counsel, for the bonding people, for mailings and postings and all that. Comes out to about 25 to 30,000 on top of when we get the bond. But that's a one-time charge, so that goes out the year you get the bond, and then the bond payments are just the bond payments with interest.
Okay, well, we'll keep working on that and hopefully get that to the board soon.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get that there. I don't know about next time, maybe the time after. Last thing I got, is everybody agreed, so March 9th, 5:30 is the workshop for the board for the budget. And we'll go through everything again after, I get the Social Security done and insurances and all that stuff for everybody.
Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
thanks, Bill, and everybody for all your work on this. I know it's a lot of work to do this every year, but like Mike said, we work well together. We get the stuff done that we need because that's our top priority is public safety and make the jobs easier for our department. So appreciate everybody's input.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
That, I'm going home.
Thanks, guys.
I think you need to stay, Bill.
No. My
Yeah, I'll have
wife has
something.
dinner in the oven.
I might have something for you at the end of the meeting.
Yeah? Email it to me.
Yeah.
Good night,
All right.
people.
Good night. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.
Good night, Bill.
All right. So next on the agenda is a discussion regarding general code, review codes. I don't know. Did anybody want to talk more about that now, or did you want more time to think about it, or were you able to read through stuff?
I did read through it, and I think the only big question I had was regarding us being able to pay for this work through the ARPA funds, and he did respond to that. There is going to be, and he did admit there's going to be an additional cost for anything that, like, if we undertake the project for, any of the work that is related to the zoning changes and so on, that'll have to be incorporated, over the next year or so. If we were planning to do it this year, which was my expectation, that those are going to be additional costs.
Well, the zoning changes they're in progress already. So probably by the summer, the draft of it is going to be before the board. So that is moving forward. Whether we do this or not with general code, we still have to send them the new draft to change it in our code. So It's really not going to be adding to it. It's going to be what we'd already have to do anyway.
Well, true, but it sounded to me like he was saying if we give them something while they're in the course of doing the work. I mean, they would be receiving that, I'm pretty sure, prior to them starting this work. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Fair enough.
Does anybody want to move on it, or you want to wait, or what's your?
I'm not opposed to it. I guess in my mind, and this is what I don't know, and I don't know if they're the ones to ask. How much will have changed in terms of state law and our being aligned with that in 30 years? I don't know how much of that has to get done.
I can answer part of that. In our law right now, it currently says you can't use salt on sidewalks. That stuff would be corrected. You can only use ash on the sidewalk according to our current codes.
That's got to be from the 20s or something.
Yeah. But that's one example, and there's other codes that are in there, and it's also going to make it so that everything is enforceable. So we have any problems with anything that was from 30 years ago to meet the current code, make it more enforceable for Lyle and whoever has to enforce the codes.
So that then helps us with the property maintenance code.
Right.
So Ryan, just like you guys do, what is it, Lexapro?
Lexapol, yeah.
Oh, so they update them based on the changes to the law. I think
Correct.
I'm kind of relating it to be the similar type of thing here. I don't know if you just want to speak to that for a second.
Yeah, well, like right now, we have 17 updates that I went in today because I had to go through with Lexapol on our corrections. The Commission of Corrections wants us to change the policy because of our holding cells. So, and even and this may be something to ask the guy for the system you're looking at. I still didn't even have exactly what they wanted. So I had to sit on a Zoom meeting with the attorney from Lexipol, and what the Commission of Correction wanted and what they actually have in there, we're still not together. So what they sent me, I had to sit with him to make sure that it went together. So I would just make sure that, what the state is saying and what they're putting in are exactly the same. Because I don't know who you have to answer to, when it comes to your codes, but like the Commission of Corrections, I have to answer to them when it comes to our holding cells. And we got what we thought the state wanted through Lexipol, and it still wasn't enough.
Okay, thank you.
But the other thing too is any changes we make, the state still has to approve it. It has to go to the Department of State for them to approve it after we make the changes.
And I just had a question on the codes 360 or the E-codes. Is there a limit to who can be on that? Because I know we don't have access to it. And we actually look at the codes a lot, when it comes to parking or, violations that we see.
I thought anybody could see that. It's on our website, so anybody can see it.
You should be able to see it, yeah.
Do you need a login and password for?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I have a book. I just didn't know he was talking about a login and password.
No, you can, if you have the login and password, you can do multi-code. So you can go, if you wanted to look at what Waterville has, if you wanted to compare what Waterville does. When Steve went to look at when we looked at 127, Steve was able to pull up that code by going into Albany's.
Okay.
When you go on ours, you just see our codes. But if you go, you can look at any code across the country with when you have the username and password.
Yeah. Otherwise, our own code is up there for anybody to view.
Okay.
All right. So again, do we want to move on this tonight, or
I'm happy to make a motion. I mean, the whole process takes about, in the neighborhood of 6 months according to their schedule. So I'm fine moving forward on this. That the price is reasonable, and the fact that it's paid through the ARPA funds is very helpful. So I'll make a motion that you be authorized to sign the agreement with the general code to provide a new and updated code for us.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Brian, was this your water shutoff waiver thing? Is that you that did that?
Yeah. You want me to explain it? Yep.
Sure.
So is Mike still on?
I don't think so.
Okay. So Mike and I had a conversation about
You're breaking up, Brian.
Can't hear you.
now? How about now?
Go ahead.
Now?
Go ahead, try it now.
How about now?
You can hear you
Fine,
now.
go ahead.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna switch. I had to let the dogs out before they ate me. How's this?
That's better.
There we go. All right. The water department sometimes has to operate the curb stops for properties. For instance, if they have to change their inside shut off, if they have to change out their meters, sometimes the water department has to shut off the property's water supply at the curb. The village does not, and the water department does not own the curb stop. So basically, when they go to assist the homeowner or the property owner in shutting off the water, if anything was to happen, the village could potentially be on the hook for a repair. So Steve and I talked about a potential, waiver of liability, and I went and I found a waiver of liability that another municipality uses. and kind of tweaked it for our own purposes. And so basically the way this would work would be before they, if a homeowner asked the DPW guys to go and shut off their water to do a repair or whatever, they would have to sign this form. They would keep a copy of the form. We would keep a copy of the form. And then if anything happened in doing that, the burden would not be on the village anymore because they signed this form. So that's basically what this form is going to be used for. Steve said it's all, he read it. He thinks it looks good. It doesn't need a board vote. He said it just is a procedural thing. So I just wanted to tell the board about it.
Okay, sounds reasonable to me. I didn't realize that we didn't own the curb stop, but it sounds like a good thing to me.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that either. Obviously, I mean, I always assumed they were ours, but
nope.
So we just would need to approve this for them to start using it?
No, Steve said it doesn't need approval. It's just a procedural internal village procedure. It's nothing that needs to be approved, he said. We can, I mean, if everybody, obviously I'll make a motion to so we can do that. Well, it can, Steve's reviewed the whole thing and he thinks it looks absolutely fine. So he had no issues with it.
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry. But so with this new Neptune system that we do have the option to do like seasonal disconnects or something, like if someone were to go to Florida. Is that like part of what you're kind of talking about or no?
No.
Just straight up like repairs and that kind of thing.
Right.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be the same?
I didn't know if we really wanted to get into that because, we have people that don't live here that have, like water drained out of their house and stuff like that. They never called us to shut their water off. They just do it themselves. But now we do have the option with this software to do kind of like seasonal holds or whatever, where they give us a start date and an end date, and then that, turns off their account, whatever. But I was just wondering if that maybe should be incorporated or something. But either way, a minimum bill is a minimum bill. So that's like a whole other thing, I guess.
Well, I would think if anybody's asking to have their water shut off, this would apply for whatever. If something's broken, they're going to Florida, whatever the case would be.
Okay, so just kind of be on like the homeowner's discretion at that point, or if they specifically state to us that they are looking to disconnect their service for whatever reason, then at that point we would take care of it.
it would seem the difference to me would be that, they go to Florida and they don't notify us. We wouldn't be responsible if something occurred. I think what Brian's presenting is something that if they ask us to do it and something goes wrong, that we're not held liable for any kind of issue that occurs as a result.
Right. That was my point too, is if anyone asks us to shut it off, then this waiver would come into play.
Okay. Yeah.
No?
Right.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, let's put it this way. It never hurts to run that by Steve as well, just to make sure.
I mean, no one since I've been there has asked me to like seasonally disconnect their service. I just knew it was an option, and I kind of want to be like in the know, I guess. if some kind of question like that came up, where I could say, sure, we have an option for that, or no, you're still going to get a minimum bill, which I mean, you still are, but if they want it truly shut off, should our guys be involved? I don't know, because a lot of people just do it themselves.
Yeah, if they do it themselves, then it's not on us.
Right.
But
Right. Okay. So this
yeah.
is just an overall protection for the village, nothing like keeping an eye on their actual water consumption.
Right. But I think just to be consistent, I think we should have a plan in place in case they do, because I'll be the first one to say, with my seasonal home, I have the municipality turn off the water rather than me doing it myself. They prefer to be the one to do that. They told me that.
Did they make you sign a waiver?
No.
Do they own the curb box?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is they come and shut it off with the the curb wrench, the curb key.
So,
I-
so the whole reason for this form is let's say that somebody says, "Oh, I need to repair some inside plumbing." The guys go, they turn the thing, it breaks. Now they can't shut it off, and there's a leak or something. You know what I mean? There could be there. I mean, so this waiver of liability basically says, look, we'll.
You cut out, Brian.
He froze.
So
And you froze there at the end.
I don't know why. What's going on here?
When you said this is just a waiver of liability, it went nothing.
So
for us
if
to
it
say,
breaks, right? If it breaks, then you know what I mean. It's their responsibility. We're just doing it as a favor.
right. I agree.
Okay. All right, so are we putting it on the record, approving it, or are we just,
So I made a motion.
All right, I'll second that.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I like it, Brian.
Thanks. I copied it from somewhere in Minnesota.
All right, Don, you got the resolution for
We
Tim?
have to, because Tim Lane just been elected. He's done his hours and stuff. So I need to get a resolution to approve his standard work week for so they can get it into the state. It's got to be posted for 30 days on the website and on in the village office.
Yeah, I move to approve Tim Lane's standard work week hours.
Second, Diane?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I guess I'd abstain.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank
I
you.
guess that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
All right,
Next is
we
the
already
owl.
scheduled, huh?
The owl. You want to talk about the owl?
Yeah, we already scheduled the workshop, so next is a follow-up on the OWL. Seth, if you want to go with that.
Sure. I think that Brett did a very good job of explaining it, as did some of the videos on the website. So just in a nutshell, the owl's a camera with sound capability, as well as the ability to project sound. So that's really all that it doesn't record anything. It just integrates into Google Meet. Literally, it will plug into somebody's laptop who is there, whether it be Don or anyone who sets that up. Plugs in through a USB port. You then go into settings, make the owl your audio and your video, and it goes. If you want to record it, we do it just like we are right now through Google Meet. That automatically saves to Don's drive, and it makes it shareable, hostable, whatever you want. The beauty of the owl is going to be, again, that those who are on Google Meet can see and hear who's speaking in the room, and then we can have a recording of it as well on both sides. Should be, again, a pretty simple piece of equipment, nice and small, nice and light, easy to carry, and pretty widely used. It's my thought. I think it'll come down to whether we want to have blended meetings going forward. There was a pretty good indication at NICOM, which I had the pleasure of attending a week ago, that the state will hopefully be amending the open meetings law to allow for more flexible blended and remote meetings. Maybe you have to produce a video recording. That's one of the recommendations of some of the people there, rather than announcing where everybody is, that you would come to allow the general public to go to this person's home if they can't be there. That's not really practical if the person is at home sick or for any number of reasons can't attend. This would allow you to record it, as well as just be able to make it more accessible to the public.
When I took my clerks class, they had a couple of the clerks used it, and what they did was they put the owl in the middle of the room, of the conference room, but they put it on a tripod. So that way it was in the middle. It didn't have, that made it a lot easier for them.
And that's what I was thinking, Don. I was thinking once we go back to, if we use the courtroom, maybe we could put it just, if you're sitting at the table facing the audience, maybe just to the left of the aisle, so that people can pass without tripping, but have it right in that general area.
Right. This way, it's flat. It's only got the small base with a tripod, so have a table in there and everything else.
Absolutely.
Don, if the cost of this is, let's say, roughly around $1,800, what line would it necessarily come out of in the budget? And do we have
I talked to Bill about it's only $1,000 for the unit. I looked in several different places on the owl itself. The Owl Pro is $999. I don't know where the 1,800, because you don't need there was two pieces of equipment that came with it that don't make any sense.
Oh, that would
like
be
an iPod or iPad. You don't need the iPad.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that was the additional cost
for it.
Yeah. Yeah. The iPad is like, if you want to schedule a meeting right from the owl, well, why would we need to do that when we subscribe to Google and we can use Google Calendar?
Okay.
All right. So did we want to move on this tonight? So maybe we have it by the time we end up going virtual or in person, or?
So moved.
Second, Tim.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Seth, you work with Don on that to get that ordered, I guess?
I'd be happy to. Absolutely.
And
And then
thanks for
once
your
we
research on
receive
that.
it, yeah, and once you're welcome. And once we receive that, Don and I can play around with it and find the right spot in both the courtroom and the hall, depending on where we're going to be.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, Isabel, sorry for the wait. You are up.
That's okay. Perfect timing. I'm about to lose my room in 18 minutes, so hopefully this goes quickly. Can everyone see my slides?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. So I'm just going to go over what I learned at NICOM last week. We are with the CGI Videos project, the Food Truck Festival, and some last comments on the Story app. So I went to the NICOM Winter Legislative meeting last week, which was super interesting. I've never been to a conference like that, and I really enjoyed it. And one of the things that they mentioned was during like an early meeting is we were talking about property codes and the enforcement issues with that. And one of the local council members, I forget which town she was, but she explained that they had a nuisance board to deal with property codes.
Isabella, it's Renee. Excuse me. I don't know. You're breaking up on my end. Is everybody else hearing her clearly, or is it just me?
She's breaking up.
Yep. So maybe just talk a little slower. I know you've got 18 minutes, but that might have something to do with it. So let's give it a try. You were talking about you enjoyed NICOM. One of the things that they mentioned when I'm doing like an early meeting is we were talking about property codes and the enforcement issues with that. And one of the local municipalities?
Yes. She was explaining that they implemented a nuisance board to deal with property code complaints. So on the nuisance board is both local community members and local officials, and it's a way to almost filter out enforcement and property code issues. She says that it worked really well because it allows everyone in the community who has issues to raise them at a separate location. Then all of the comments and complaints are sort of filtered out before they actually get to the zone enforcement officer or the police department. And so it's just a lot less work for I guess they have a council, but for us, it would be the village board. So I thought that was interesting because I know that was something that we talked a lot about at the last board meeting. And then for the CGI videos, we did get the video press release back, which is just a 1-minute video of introducing the partnership. I sent it all to everybody, and we're working on putting that up on the website and on social media like Facebook, just to get the word about that partnership. And again, to promote its legitimacy to local businesses so they'll want to sponsor it. And then the next step is to wait for the script / shot list to come back, because we will be filming it in hopefully like 6 weeks, I think. And then they did say that we can include our own photos or videos. Again, I'm not quite sure what the CGI videos will look like themselves, but they did say that we are able to send them any content that we may want in it. So if you have any photos that you think would be a good fit, you can feel free to email them to me. I'm working on developing a Google Drive folder. I have the photos from when the police officers were at Stewart's meeting with the community. So anything like that that you think would be great, you can email it to me, and maybe the CGI videos will want to pick anything from it. For the food truck festival, we are up to 6 confirmed food trucks who will attend all the 4 days. So that's Burger 21, who does burgers, Bowl and Basil, who does pizzas, Buena Comida, which does tacos, empanadas. 2 for the Road, they change their menu a lot, but they do everything from like upscaled grilled cheese to chicken tenders. Graffiti, I'm not quite sure that that's the exact name of the truck. It's the truck owner's cousin recently bought it and is redoing it, but he's going to stick with the same menu theme of Italian food and then a smoke truck. And then I'm going to try and call Mr. Dingaling tomorrow. We've tried reaching out to other dessert vendors and haven't had any success, but hopefully that Mr. Dingaling will be able to come, so there'll be at least some sort of dessert option. And then we're also in the process of recruiting local Menands artists to see if there's enough interest to having potentially them display or sell their work on the tennis courts. It was something that was brought up during my meet and greet. So we have had a couple people reach out, and we're just trying to nail down the last minute details to see if that's something we should do. And then a couple of the food trucks and live entertainment groups have asked for promotional materials because they want to start advertising it on their channels. So I've started working on creating that, but it's coming together very well, and it's almost like basically done being planned. And then for the story app, I know that Melissa was here and she gave a little more of an update. Since the last board meeting, I have done further research into apps and app development platforms. I met with the app developer, and he agreed that this is the best option for us and also probably the cheapest option we'll get. I'm in the process of scheduling meetings with other municipalities to learn about their app. I'm trying to have a meeting with Albany because I know that they have one, and to talk about their process with it. But yeah, this from everyone I've talked to, they've agreed that this would be the best for what the village, this would be the best for the village. And also the sooner we start it would be best because it could be done, before the summertime. And because it would only be focusing on historic aspects and cultural aspects, the content will not need to be refreshed unless something newly historic happens. There's no need to include restaurants or businesses like that because once you publish those informations, it could be obsolete for many reasons. There will be no need to up content.
It's me again.
Sorry.
It's okay. Once you publish those, it could be obsolete content, maybe?
Yeah, on our business publish restaurant, once you publish that onto an app, it could basically become obsolete because that's the restaurant content. But yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. You've been doing a lot of work. Since you're still going to do more research on the story app, I think we'll just wait to hear what you have to say at the next meeting about that. But thank you for reaching out to Melissa to have her come in and talk to us about, it from her point of view. Anybody have anything for Isabel?
Oh, nothing other than thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, of course.
And maybe can you, I was actually going to ask partway through the presentation, can you continue to find out some more information on the nuisance board that other municipality has, how it works, how they appoint members to it, and just from there, so that if we wanted to even consider it, we would have the information?
Yeah, sure. I can try and figure out who mentioned it and see if she could give me some more details.
Thank
Hey, I
you.
also have a question about the flyer for the food truck festivals. Can you show me those too, just so I can kind of see? And then I was also wondering like what platform you used to create those too, just in case there's like edits or anything or whatever down the road. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like when things exchange hands, how things are gonna land, you know?
Mhm. So I've been using Canva, the free edition portion of it. And I can share you the login account because I've just been using the email I have from the Village of Menands, and you should be able to basically access, edit, have everything I've created on that platform.
Awesome. Thank you. Just, you know, I like to see what's going on in the medias and things.
Yeah, of course.
And Isabel, it's Renee again. What was the name of the platform?
Canva, Canva.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you again. Sorry for such a long meeting tonight and you having to wait, but this is what happened, so real life experience here. All right, I had one letter from Bill Garvey. The Menands police had come to his apartment to check up on him because his family had been unable to reach him and his phone wasn't working. He was happy. He wants to thank them very much for their help, concern, and kindness they showed to him during his time of need. He only wished there were more police departments like our Menands police who are helpful, kind, and considerate. He saw a black vehicle parked in the fire lane at Village One's apartments. He notified the police. They came down and gave it a parking ticket. He wants to thank the police for doing their job. He's concerned about Oakwood with the salt shed and the road itself, hoping that's on the agenda for 2022. He's concerned again about the railroad trains still blowing their whistles. I think because he lives so close to First Street and Waterville, that's what he's hearing because they don't have the quiet zone. Because I'm not hearing it between 10 and 7. So I have a feeling he's not hearing it in Menands, but he's.
I've heard it. I've heard it too. I guess, I don't know. Somebody didn't get the memo a couple times.
Yeah, maybe once in a while, but he just
Yeah.
thinks it's happening more frequently. And that was about that. I do have one legal matter for executive session that won't be that long for the board members, but Don, did you have anything else or?
Yeah, just to let everybody know, just for the summer help, that the minimum wage went up to $13.20.
From 12?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I got.
When are you posting that?
We'll be doing it pretty soon because it usually goes out in May. Or
Okay.
All right, and then on that sort of along that same line, for the park, it's going to be open. They're going to be taking reservations in March 1st, but because of the construction of the basketball court, we're not taking reservations until July 1st. So it'll be, done before the summer program, but there's going to have a lot of equipment, and it's for safety factors. We don't want people up there during the construction of that.
Will they be staging that using the pavilion?
I don't know about using the pavilion, but their equipment will be near the bathrooms and the playground. So
Okay.
we just don't want to take the risk of doing that.
Are we closing the playground?
If it warrants it, yes, depending on their equipment. That would be, I think they're figuring mid-April through about mid-June, so about 2 months.
Yeah.
And then, reopen it back up in July after school's out. So during that time frame, the kids will be in school anyway.
Perfect. Yeah, it'll be worth it to close it then for the beautiful new basketball courts.
Right.
And I also have a legal matter for executive session.
Okay. Anybody else?
So I move that we go into executive session to discuss 2 legal matters.
Bye, guys.
Renee,
Thanks,
you can sign off and then we'll send you the video when we come back in.
And I didn't get who seconded the motion to Brian. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And our next meeting will be remote. It's the one after that we're not sure about.
All right. I'll be here for you if you need me.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye
Renee.
now.
Thanks, Nicole. All right. can
So people
start-
are still on.
we can
Anybody that's
remove-
not a board member, you'll need to sign off.
I've actually asked, we can probably stop recording now too. I've asked Isabel to stay for my legal matter because she has some information on that to share.